Mic check. Peace out there in the internet world. Let me make sure my mic is going. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, should be good. Peace, Sage. Hope all is well with everybody out there. We'll give it a second since I'm not on StreamYard tonight. I can't do my little buffer music while I get set up. So I had to come on in. So y'all just hold tight for a second. Let's see if a couple more people, it's late. So I creep on here late, unexpected as usual. But I think I have something that's some interesting things to share this evening. As I always say, I gotta try to make sense of this um as we go through this. See if we at least get 10 people. Hit the like button as you come in, and if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel. Share the video so that we spread the word organically. But let me say this though. Let's see, this is how I shoot myself in the foot. Let me say this though. So I'll be perfectly clear up front. Peace, Black Butterfly. So I can be perfectly clear. If you are looking for a video to help you make your last minute bet for the Super Bowl, this ain't the one for you. So if you see Super Bowl and you're like, oh, who we say gonna win? You know, this is not a video for that. If you're looking for your typical gematria breakdown, like so and so's mama wears a size 10, 10 is this, and 10 years ago, a 10-foot giant, ate 10 bananas, I'm not going to give you that. So I just want to be upfront so I don't, uh, so nobody's misled um, by the title. Okay. So good. A couple of people clicked off. Good. Maybe they're like, oh, okay, thank you for telling the truth. Let me go and find what I'm looking for. Um, thank you, Black Butterfly. Sage the Parade I did not see it in the sky. I didn't have a chance to go out and look at the um I don't get a chance to look at to go and sky watch much anyway. Um so where do we begin? Hmm. Where's my chart? That's the first thing. Let me find my chart. Yes. I knew I was missing some other information, and I had taken down a couple of little notes, and here they are. Okay. So tonight, the 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 conversation, we're calling it, I have coined myself as a forensic astrologer or astrologist. I'm just gonna say astrologer tonight because it's more familiar. But I explain to y'all about the astrologist uh change in my nomenclature. Um, let me. Oh, it ain't on StreamYard. I can't. On StreamYard I can highlight the comments. But Black Butterfly said, remember to keep this space respectful and authentic. We promote critical thinking, scholarship, authenticity, and autonomy. Please engage any way you feel comfortable, but keep it respectful. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Well said. So, we're going to take a unique entry into this conversation. Forensic astrology, Super Bowl 59, 911 emergency, and the ancient ones. That's a that's a pretty big title there. A lot to bite off. And I'm going to do my best to do it, to make sense of all this. Everything in this title overlap and correlate to each other. Tomorrow, it is tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, yeah, tomorrow's the Super Bowl, yeah. So on the 9th, we have the big Super Bowl, which is the arguably the biggest sports event of the year. I'm going to say there's nothing more dynamic, um, entertaining, attention grabbing. There's no greater sports spectacle than the NFL Super Bowl or the NFL championship. Okay. And I got some literature. I haven't had a chance to really, really dig in it, but I did. I got interested and started doing research on Walter Camp, who is the front man for football, inventing American football. But he had a partner, Alonzo Stagg, who always seems to be in the shadows. And the real origin would trace back to like 1876 in there. Now think about this time frame, 1876. Think about this time frame that the current POTUS refers to as he mentions it with a sparkle in his eye about the U.S. being a tariff country or organization, corporation, in the 1870s. And there's so much that can be said about football, about the occult nature of football. One, the object that is played with, the football, the ball itself, is shaped like an uh, eclipse. It is shaped or ellipse. It is shaped like an eye. It is shaped like the womb or the female sex organ. All of that is embodied in that football. And that football originally was made out of pig bladders. And pig bladder has significance in a lot of cultures that they use them in rituals, you know, which that's another subject, connects back to the pig and the pig actually being exalted and venerated in some regards in certain cultures. And having a connection to a Christ figure, at the same time a connection to a devil or a scapegoat. I mean, and that's a whole. But when you think about the fact that Walter Camp and Alonzo Stagg were members of a certain organization that Bush Sr. was a member of, Bush Jr., John Kerry, and countless others have been members of a particular organization. Then you consider that the way the game is laid out is you have 11 on each side, and those 11 add up to 22. And 22 is a master number, 11 is a master number. 22, the 22 letters of the alphabet. 22 denotes completion of the work, which that's a whole nother conversation in itself too. But that's just a quick little opening volley about the fact that this sport was not created just to be doing something. This sport arguably was created to cause to be the means of creating a desired effect. The means of creating a desired effect. And he who can take that elliptical shaped object, that vesica piscis, that womb shaped, that ayin, that eye, whoever could carry that across the goal line or through the arches, whoever could do that as many times or the most times would be the winner. So there's a phallic ritual about this, because whenever you score, the referee does this. This becomes the womb to receive. And the seed has been received, and the ball is the seed. Okay. So who can drive the ball down the field and get it into the womb? Which which sperm out of these millions of competitors can actually achieve um what do they call that when the um sperm gets to the egg? Fertilization, I guess. Who can achieve that? There's phallic sexual implications, which is representing things are happening at an occult level. And occult just meaning hidden. Meaning, person may look at the game and they're seeing 6'5", 330 pounds, so and so going up against 6'4", 290 pounds, so and so. Oh man, and they see the coach throwing the laptop down and player upset, drunk fan, shirt off with um, go my favorite team written across their chest, and we're looking at all those things. And the average person is not imagining that there's a whole rich tapestry of events that are flowing beneath the surface based on what we see at the surface, that the surface is representing things deeper. And this leads into, I guess, uh, this leads into the this part of the conversation. I say this all the time. Common people, which is what we represent, myself included, common people. Common people means we're not trust fund babies. You know, we didn't have a nanny and a driver. And we, you just had to, you had to, you've had to work for everything. Nothing has just been laid out for this. So that's what I mean when I say commoners. Oftentimes, we as common people tend to think that things that may or may not be diabolical are based on money. And we'll apply, and let's just remove diabolical. We just think that a lot of things come down to money. And it's rightfully so that we would come to that conclusion when you're constantly smacked upside the head with the reality that you got to have money. I mean, many of us could, the level of joy that many of us could experience is unimaginable if we didn't have to deal with this thing called money that makes us do things we don't want to do. Even if it's not even something like, we ain't talking about committing crimes, but like get up on Monday and go to a place that you hate with people that you despise, and you go because you got to have something called money or something that is masquerading as money. And when you're thrust into a world like that, it's like a form of conditioning that we would tend to think that money is, that's what everybody doing everything for. But what about when you historically have money or have finance? At that point, are you really doing anything for more finance? No. There are greater results that you are looking to achieve. And so the deeper purpose of athletes, professional athletes, well, now down to collegiate, but especially professional athletes in the US, is to act out mythological dramas. When you watch these superior human specimens run around, jump, do these amazing physical or perform these amazing physical feats, um, what you're really looking at is you're looking at gods. You're getting a chance to see the gods. Like you're getting to see Zeus going against Ares, you know, or Hades up against Poseidon. Oh man, look at it. Because you have to be amongst the gods to get into that realm. When you watch these athletes toil, you are watching the gods toil with each other on Mount Olympus. The stadium becomes Mount Olympus. All right. But here's the kicker. See, we think it's about money. Okay. And of course, so the gods get the money, and then, and we hear all these transactions about this person's contract and da da da. But that's all aside, that's all sideshow. That's secondary. Consider this: as powerful as the gods are in mythology, who really got the juice behind the scene? Something called the fates. the fates. They answer to no one. The gods have power in cyclical fashion. It ebbs and flows, waxes and wanes. But which would suggest that there's a clock, right? When we study astrology, we're studying a cosmic clock. And we see at this particular time, Jupiter is battling. Let's just take currently in the sky. Mars is Mars is battling against his own nature because he's thrust into a realm where he can't be himself, and he's under the control of the moon, of Luna, right now. He's in Cancer. Let's see. But who's got a direct battle with each other? There's not a lot of direct battles right now. It is Venus is in Aries now. Let's see. We got anybody in a not a lot of hard aspects. Let's just make up something. Let's say Jupiter is in a square to um Saturn. He in a he in a battle with his daddy. Ooh, you know. So time is clashing with expansion. Limitation goes up against broad expansiveness, you know. So we're seeing this drama. And over time, that drama the acuteness of it will wane. So they're in a square, so it's very acute. It's up on the surface. It's like you always had a problem with me. You thought I was gonna outshadow you, daddy. He's like, well, you always been a foolish dreamer, son. You needed to be eaten and dropped off in a cave somewhere. You ain't about. But that's gonna wane because the clock keeps moving. So although they're the gods and they're battling, they ain't really running the show. Who's really running the show? As I keep alluding to this series, the goddess behind the gods, there's a hand or hands behind who are actually turning the wheel, churning the butter, who are moving the clock. That's the real Dundada. And so the fates could be considered an example of the force behind the forces. And so your owners of your teams and the people and the organizations they're connected to, brotherhoods, whatever that they're connected to, they have an opportunity to take on the role of the fates. It's bigger than the money. They came into this because they already had money. And yeah, it's an organization, they got to make more money and blah, 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 blah. But I argue that it's not really the real big driving force. It is an opportunity to be able to control the gods. That is a power that's unimaginable. I don't have to be the gods. I can control them. So then the pressure to win is to garner fan support. And it's more than how many people are buying Dak Prescott's jersey, or who all is buying who's in the bowl, is who all's buying Patrick Mahomes, and how much. See, they give us all that stuff for the commoners. They constantly feed us those numbers. Patrick Mahomes is signing the largest quarterback in quarterback contract in NFL, 250 million. And we're like, oh my God, they giving him 250, da 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 da. And so they always reel us in on the numbers because we're commoners. But and we would think that the fan support is about the money, which it is at a level. But you got to look at the word fan, which is the root of fanatic. But the base, though, again, is fan. And fan literally, it creates current, wind. So fan connects to spirit. Fans are important because they serve as spiritual energy. Fans are generators, literal generators of energy, which goes back to the video I did on voting. And I said, when you vote in a national election, it ain't about who you vote for. It's the fact that you participated provides the energy. That's why they say you got to get out and vote. They had all the rappers back in the day, P. Diddy and all this rock the vote. Now here's somebody been telling you to drink liquor, to get money by any means, da, 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 and then all of a sudden, this person is going to tell you to vote. But they knows like, okay, we dealing with people we've trained not to think. They ain't gonna even look at that to that degree, you know, because the real magic is to get you to participate. It ain't about the choice you make. It's about your participation. Because it's about providing energy. And the current POTUS says, I'm going to declare an energy crisis, energy emergency. You got to listen. You got to listen beyond your emotional ears and you got to hear. Um, he used the word emergency several times in this inauguration speech and, you know, the initial press conferences and whatever. Energy emergency, border emergency. You got to think, what's a border? A border is something that separates one state from another. And when I say state, don't think just states like Colorado, Nebraska. State, as in a state of being. This is double talk. There's a need to protect the borders. There's something coming in. What? Illegal aliens. But it ain't all just talking about literal. That's those are code words. He's talking about energies coming in and permeating planet. Okay. And we're declaring an energy emergency. So, and all this gonna make sense as I go because it's part of the 911 emergency. Wait till I show you what I'm, you know, it all come together. It makes sense what I'm alluding to. I have to go slow because I have to put these. It's a lot, and I just don't like to come and read off stuff. If you watch my videos, I try to make them piece together like you can follow a storyline, you know. So it takes time sometimes to piece it together so it all will fit. Um, so the pressure to win is to garner fan support, which generates energy. Um, and the fans serve as the generators which will help to fuel the agenda of said champion. So when you put that champion there and you had the fan support go behind it to help push it, push it, push it, what you're doing is you're helping to push the agenda that that winning team will represent. It's just like when we buy things. When I buy a pair of Jordans, when I exchange currency, I'm not just buying a pair of shoes. I am also giving currency to support whatever the people are behind that brand, whatever they represent. I'm supporting it because I gave currency for that product. I'm thinking all I'm doing is even swap, no swindle, no swindle. I want those shoes. You want the money. Here you go. I got my shoes. But whenever we exchange, we're not only just getting a product, we're supporting however that individual or that organization sees life. So there is no bigger game than the Super Bowl again. And we touched on some of the magic. You got to run with the seed and you got to place the seed into the womb. Whoever can do that the most times is the winner. There's also a magic equation oftentimes at place with the champion, and it's based on the number three. Um, I guess we'll go to the whiteboard. Peace to everybody joining in. I'm not able, my comments are over here, so I'm not ignoring, but I'm trying to keep my mind locked in. I'm looking at my, this way is my camera and my laptop. Let's do this. Do something about the dry mouth here. And my board is slow loading, trying to open up my whiteboard so I can do some writing. That's why I'm on Zoom tonight, because I said I gotta have a whiteboard on the computer tonight. It's cool and everything, turning around and writing, but this is much easier. All right, give me my tools. Okay, there you go. All right, the number three is a very magical number because what it does is it gives us 3 points. Okay, it gives us A and B, which they work on an axis. They oppose each other. All right. And then 3C would become what's called the perfection or the neutrality or the neuter point. This mic, you got to be right in front of it. Okay. And so this is how what the whole Christ thing is, or you have, mother, father, and then child is the perfection of the what appeared to be an opposition. All right. So basically what it's doing is showing the magical power of three. All right. Now, with that is just a base established. Most championship teams, BK Trainer, I sent you a email, good brother. I appreciate it. Happy belated solar return to you too. Uh, this is a fellow Aquarian brethren here. But the three, the magical equation a lot of times for championship teams, and I know it's a lot of elements. I'm just talking about the offense. It's basic. You got to have this combination: QB, RB, WR. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver. That's the big three. Go down through history. Elway, Davis, Sharp, um, Aikman, Smith, Irvin. Let's see. Mm, uh, shit, we'll go Favre, Dorsey Levens, running back. They just call him Dorse, the horse. And then Shannon Sharp's brother, um, who would have had a amazing career had he not hurt his neck. What was Shannon Sharp's brother's name? Oh man, y'all know his name. Either way, Theismann, Riggins, Monk. We can go on and on. This combination. What's the magical thing? Sterling Sharp. That was his name. Sterling Sharp. What we have is three. Okay. So you see this magical combination plays out. Or you can say the other three is you got to have offense, defense, special teams. If you can get this three-piece combination, it's magical. Okay. Now, that's the some of the boring details. But I'm gonna jump ahead of here. I'm gonna give y'all a little nugget. Then I'm gonna go back. All right. I'm gonna foreshadow. I'm gonna lean forward in the presentation, and I'm gonna show that the Eagles have an amazing big three, and it is Hertz, Barkley, and Brown. Now, what's the title of this presentation? Forensic Astrology, Super Bowl 59, 911 emergency, the ancient ones. What's Jalen Hurts' number? Ain't it number one? What is Barkley's number? 26. 1 plus 2 plus 6, what does that equal? 9. Brown's number, 11. 911. Now we're going to let this park for a minute. Okay? All right? I'm going to park this right here. And here comes the plot twist. Just give me a minute. Let me make sure I got it queued up. Oh, it's right there ready. I'm going to show you all something. Let's see. How do I want to do this? I need to stop sharing this. I need to go And I need to share this chart. All right, here we go. So what I have here is a chart that you probably most people would never even think to even look up. And this chart is for the first 911 call that was placed in the US. All right. First 911 call, February 16th, 1968, 2 p.m. Central Time, Haleyville, Alabama. Okay. Now here's my deal. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about what's going on in the world in 1968. This is February of 1968. What would happen just 2 months later in April of 1968 on April 4th? Right. You know, you all know what I'm talking about. April 4th. Um, April 4th, it was the assassination of Martin Luther King. Now, just 2 months earlier, we have the first 911 call that is made. Now, I'm going to get into some symbolism behind the numbers 911. But first, I'm going to suggest that this didn't happen or come about by happenstance. This is a distress call, as it was designed to serve the purpose of. But what I'm saying is the creation of it as a means of being used for a distress call came out of the fact that it was a distress moment for the people who presented it. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? That 911 is set up for if you have a time of distress, there's an emergency. What I'm saying is that its creation itself came out of an emerging situation. It is symbolic. It is representative of a state of angst. It's a message that's being sent. We got to do something. A week before this call was made, they actually set the line up at the police station and they used the red phone, like the bat phone. And that would be the first phone that they would use a week later to take the um, maiden voyage or the initial 911 call. And they made the call from the mayor's office to the police station. Okay. So this was a designed event. I want you to look at what's going on when this call is made. Look at what's rising. It's Cancer. Okay. And Cancer is the sign of, for one, and I'm going to simplify this just for our purposes here. Nativity. So Cancer deals with words that begin with NAT. Okay. So, native, natural, nation, you know? Um, so look at this. The nation is in a time of distress, and it has something to do with the true natives. Mm. Hmm. Why am I saying that? Because Cancer's rising, and the ruler of Cancer is in Libra down here in the fourth house, which is the house that deals with these matters. So it's a good time to initiate something to try to save the reality that currently exists around this nation in 1968. What I'm saying is this was a ritual. And I know that word gets overused, so I'm going to use what it really means. Ritual means an arrangement. You're looking to arrange things, put things in order based on a desired effect. Now, look what's pushing this. At this moment in time, this is a moment of distress. The moon conjoins Uranus. Now, think about the moon dealing with being a gateway to the subconscious mind through the waters of emotion. So, there is an uneasiness around the the um status of this nation. There is angst, there is agitation, there is impatience. Something's got to happen. All right? Because this is Uranus conjoining the moon. There's also this spark of, ooh, I got an idea. Oh, and it's intuitive. Oh, it's natural. So here's something showing its natural state of being. We're showing who we really are. And we are people who like to go to war because this moon and Uranus are opposing Mars and Chiron. So there's this gaping spiritual wound that exists. Chiron and Pisces. That maybe we feel like we don't have a soul. Maybe we feel like we're disconnected from something beyond this existence and we're agitated and we must do something. And then you have the god of war, Mars, conjoining Chiron, opposing Uranus. So this is a signature of violence, extreme violence. And it's like that scene in Tombstone, the movie where my man Doc Holliday was like, he's got this great big old hole inside of him and it just can't fill it. That's what I feel like this thing with with Chiron and Pisces for the context of how we're using it here is the fight is about this feeling of a void on the inside, and I can't figure out how to come to terms with it. I got to do something. And you have Pluto in the mix. It's close enough that this is still active, this conjunction of Pluto and Uranus, which had been going on for the last 3 years or so. Then you have Saturn that is opposing the moon. And so this creates doubts. There is doubt around, will the nation survive? And there's an issue around, it could be an issue with courage because Saturn and Aries can kind of inhibit the sense of identity and the courage because it's holding back that energy of Aries. So how might that play out as fear? So if you got someone who's afraid, who feels boxed in, who feels empty, angry, misguided, misdirected, and so all we got to do is lean on what we always know to do. We gotta do something. Somebody got to hurt. Somebody got to feel the pain that I feel. This is the energy leading up to April 4th, 1968. 911. You also got to think about our people in your family or so forth, or some of you, it may be you who were born in this energy. Okay. You're born out of this energy of unrest. And when I put this together, I want to show you how by the time you start coming of age in your teenage years, how the distress call was issued again. There's something about you all born in this era of 65 to 68. We can include 69 probably in that too. There's a distress and there's a sense of anxiety and angst around you. You're the beginning of Generation X. You're named as not having an identity. I'm part of that generation, but you're the start of it. You don't have no identity. In other words, we don't know what you might end up being, and we're afraid. Which is why and I'm again, let me clarify. I'm talking to my folk who 65, 66, 67, 68. You all born in those years. Because by the time you became a teenager, there was something waiting on you called crack. Yeah. And that era where the DARE program, I was in the first grade, 1983. All of a sudden they come in about some DARE program, and it's created by Dal Gates out in LA. He creates this. He helped, it's called predictive programming. He introduced the idea of drug abuse to us as young children, but to you all, y'all were getting introduced as teenagers when you in that space where you want to try things. And crack was a party drug. That's what's missed. People didn't just go out here and just sit on the street ashy and and sitting here. That's what happened to them. Crack was introduced as a party drug. You're going, smoke your woo or hit the pipe. And it was cool. But okay. But back to this. What I've shown here is 911 is a distress call. Astrologically, at the time that this system emerges, there's a definite period of distress astrologically that is being reflected. And to add to that, The sun is in Aquarius and Neptune is in Scorpio in a square. Mercury's in that square too. So here we got misguided direction towards the future, and we have lies and deceit. There's something underhanded going on. There are hidden motives, there are hidden intentions. Just going on in astrology. Neptune and Scorpio can be super toxic, or it can be a purifying agent. Neptune can be a great purifying agent in Scorpio, or it can be just, as my man in Lego movie says, diabolical. And Neptune squaring Mercury, hey, the truth may get bent a little bit because Neptune ain't about reality. So we may be presenting one thing to the world, but there's something completely different that's really going on. And we're feeling that we are unsure about the future, Sun in Aquarius, because Aquarius is being the sun, which is concentrated light, is being fragmented by Neptune. It breaks down things. Tumultuous time right here. And if somebody wanted to be diabolical, good time to do it or to initiate. Now, um, I guess the next place for me to go then, since I have brought up 911, is let's go into a discovery of what 911. Oh, BK Trainer, thank you, good brother. Thank you for the super chat. Since we have boom, 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 let's do this. We back to the whiteboard. All right. Uh mm, all right. Here we go. Let's look at 911. Now let's keep us a mental Rolodex going here. We started off our journey 1968 where 911 appears. All right. But now we're going to go to a little bit of Hebrew here to help give us some context to the number 911. Look at some, remember what I said 1968. Cancer is rising. Cancer represents the mother, the womb. It represents the dirt you come out of. It represents growth, nurture, and all those NAT words: nationality, nativity, nature, all that. All right. Well, let's think nation. So 9/11, one Hebrew rendering. Look at this. Okay. What I've just written is, hold on, I'm missing something. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me explain something too. I've explained it before. I'm going to explain it again today or this evening. This right here is a meme. All right. Its regular value is 40. Now, I could have used 40 here at the end. Okay. But when it's in a but when it's the final letter, it technically is 600. So because Hebrew goes from right to left instead of left to right. So from right to left, meme is the final letter. So I'm using the value of 600 here. The yud is 10. The shin is 300. The aleph is 1. That adds up to 911. Now, what is this word though? This word is isham. Tell you what this word means. It means the fiery ones, the flames. All right. When I see that, it appears to be people who come from the stars. And it even make us have to go back and reconsider when we talk about the fallen ones and how the fallen ones seem to immediately be associated with something evil, and how when we study metaphysically, all we see is that you coming here as you fall, the whole circle of evolution begins with devolution. Once you become involved in matter, you are devolving down into it. And if you are working properly, then out of it, you start to swim and evolve. So everything's about falling down. You technically fall down into the world out of the mother's womb. The lying on the back on the table is not the original way of giving birth. It was to squat, which is why you see the old pictures of Venus of Willendorf, the big voluptuous woman, and she's squatting, and they have red that they colored in around her womb. She's giving birth, squatting. So you fall down into this reality. You're the fallen ones. So the Hebrew was referred to as fire language, and the stars as little tongues. So there's a connection. Fire language down here, little tongues up there. So the word fell down here. So the fiery ones would also be the word, Isham. Yeah, I think what's going on in the world is at around 68. And we issue a distress call 911 because, woo, gotta watch these Isham or Ishim. I may be pronounced it, um, whatever. But let's look at some other renderings that produce the same value. And it's a story is being told. We'll see. Here's another word, resh, aleph, shin, yud, ta. Now this word is reshera, resheret, resheret. Let me see. Resheret. I'm sorry. Yes, resheret. And guess what this word means? Resheret. first, beginning. Oh, we cooking with grease now. Listen to this. Primal. Mm. Chief. Hmm. First fruit. I mean, each one of them is a smoker. First fruit. Um, Magistracy. So the real judge. I'm trying to write magistrate. Um, Choice. These are all words that go along with this. Okay. So a resh is 200. Aleph is 1. Shin is 300. Oh, Yud is 10. Ta is 400. That's 4 and 3 is 7. 7 and 2 is 9. 9 and 1, 901. Then the 10 up here, 911. First, it was the shining ones, the fiery ones. Next, we discovered we're talking about something dealing with the first, the beginning, something primal, the chief, which is as which would suggest the focal point, the centerpiece, the first fruit, the magistrate. Oh boy. Okay. Hopefully y'all with me. This is making sense, I'm hoping. Let's see. Uh, all right. The 911, also the word um Sha'arit. I think I pronounced the other one wrong. This one's Sha'arit. It is. Oh shit. Where my eraser at? Boom, boom. So this just moved the letters around. The other one was Reshet, and this one's Sha'arit. Look at this. Remnant. Now, what's a remnant? It's something that's remaining. So look, in one regard, 911 or 911 is talking about something that's the first. But in another regard, it's talking about something that's a remnant, which would suggest something that's the last. The first and the last. Alpha and Omega. So I want to make sure I show that for y'all. Just stay with it. We ain't even we haven't even gotten up to cruising altitude. We still climbing. We just now took off a minute ago. We ain't even got up to 30,000 feet yet. Still climbing. Seatbelt sign is still on. Don't move around the cabin yet. Now, Now we're going to start cooking a little more. I want to take you back to, okay, stay with me now. Um, we earlier this year, what happened? You had the Black Hawk helicopter. At least what was presented to us through media is that a helicopter collided with an airplane over the Potomac, and a lot of people lost their lives. And people were breaking it down. Um, a lot of excellent stuff. Okay. So let's go a little step further. By the fact that a helicopter was involved, let's go down the rabbit hole. And me being a little longer in the tooth, I remember doing the in the 80s that there were two, for a brief moment, two helicopter shows that were on in the 80s. Now, those of us who, if you look closer towards the 50 side of things or older, you might remember this. One show was called Blue Thunder. Okay. And there was another called Airwolf. Now, Airwolf was mine. I loved Airwolf for that little brief time. And we always thought Blue Thunder was just like a, although it came on first, we just thought that was like, Airwolf is the one because it was all black. It was sinister looking. Um, but look at this. Now, I don't know why my mind tells me to look for this, but it did. Blue Thunder aired on 1 6 1984. Do the math on this. That's 7, 8, 17, 25, and 4 equals 29. 29 reduces 2 and 9, add together is 11. Now, when you do numerology, typically when you get to 11, um, you'll hold it there because it's a master number. Okay. So we're going to hold that and not reduce it to 2. We're going to keep it at 11. Airwolf airs on the day of Super Bowl 18, which is big in itself. We'll come to that. We're climbing now. We're climbing. So Airwolf airs on 1/22/1984. Add that up. Oh, that's that. 14 and 9 is 23, 24. 24 plus 2 plus 2, that's 8. That's 9. Look at this. When you put those two together, you get boom, boom. Somebody might be saying, "Oh, Jamal, you're grasping for straws." Think about it though. What did I just say? These people born around this time, give or take, not give or take, but from that time, maybe 2 or 3 years back. Guess what's happened around 1984? They are young, they are teenagers and young adults. So the 911 call was issued around the time of their birth or very early in their childhood. And then when they start coming of age, the distress signal is issued again. I'm gonna prove to you that I ain't grasping for straws here, because the same night that Airwolf airs, I was there. I lived it. I remember. BK, I know you remember it. I know you remember this. The Super Bowl 18, Washington versus the Raiders. I used to love the Raiders. We had a chance to meet Mickey Mantle in Asheville, who was one of the linemen for the Raiders. You know, number 65, Lyle Alzado was Lyle Alzado and Howie Long was my two favorite defensive players back then. I wanted to be number 75. I wanted to I got my jersey number was 76 because an upperclassman had 75, you know. So that Super Bowl, listen who was in the Super Bowl. You know, LA, by this time, Oakland had moved to LA. So it was the LA Raiders against the Washington Redskins. I don't know about all this Commanders. We grew up with the Redskins and they put it right in your face on the helmet. They showed, oh yeah, LT. Yeah, LT. There's no debating, you know. But I knew I never could be LT, BK. So I had to go with a lineman, you know. Um, but hold on. Let me grab something. This just a sidebar about the Redskins and how we think things are done because um, people are wanting to write things, and and it was wrong to call them these names, and we're gonna put an end to the discriminatory practices, and we're no longer gonna call ourselves the Redskins. We're gonna remove this um this terrible image that we've had, and blah blah blah. If you remember the image on the Redskin helmet, the dude's skin was this color. Okay. So what I have here is the American Dictionary of the English Language by Noah Webster, 1828, and I'm reading the definition of American. A native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. So we're just dealing with facts. So this mascot or logo, they went and rebranded. We're told that it's to try to be better people. Arguably, it's just part of a washing of history. But back to the main course here. The Raiders would go on to win that game 38-9. Look at this. 3-8 is 11. 9, 11. And listen to what's happening though. The Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Lost Ark is not somewhere over yonder. The Ark is here. This is the Lost Ark here. And so the Raiders play out the role. Remember, these guys are just trying to pay their mortgage and buy them a new sports car, some new clothes. They're just there participating. They don't know possibly that they're being steered into a drama to help bring certain phenomena into reality. But the Raiders are going in and looting the Redskins, the Aboriginals. Now, at the same time this is going on, see, that's why you got to study. And you ain't got to know everything. You just got to know what questions to ask. That is all this. Know what questions to ask. Now, part of the reason that this Redskin logo was removed was because of what is everybody is up in arms over now called DEI. It's all of the, stop the bullying, stop being mean, all this, as if to suggest that people are actually good-hearted and but these things are part of a concerted effort. Ain't nothing new. Do you know that the president at this time is Ronald Reagan? And what one of the things that Ronald Reagan was known for was reversing a lot of the affirmative action that was set in place back around the time when those children who are now teenagers were born. Because this is the era of Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was diabolical. He is the reason that deeply melanated people become Democrats. It was time to move the herd, move them over to this side. And he said, once I get them niggas voting Democrat, they'll be voting for the next 200 years. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to that effect. Okay. So he would suck in through what seemed like upliftment, but what it was really doing was severing culture. It was his job was to sever the last vestiges of culture that existed going all the way back to Lincoln. This is so people would come in and get more accustomed to having health care, to being in cool offices, breathing unclean air and having fluorescent lights beaming on them and fighting for it and forgetting how to go out and make my mom used to tell me that my great great grandmother would make this mustard patch. I can't remember what she would call it, and put it on you when you were sick and all. She would go back there my daddy would tell me how his grandmother would go back there in the woods and grab something and come back. So Johnson's job was to break that tie. You got to sever those people from that connection and bring them into the fold so that when we get them completely hooked on that, then the actor out of California will have him come in and he's going to cut it and then they're going to be lost in the sauce. So during the time that this is going on in the 80s, guess who is the chairman of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission? Clarence Thomas. How about that shit? 1982 to 1990, Clarence Thomas is running the EEOC. Telling you, all you got to do is know what questions to ask. You ain't got to know everything. Just know, be curious, and you'll be able to start putting things together. So the Raiders come and they loot and pillage the Aboriginals. And we're going to rewrite history and we're going to reverse things that we got you comfortable with. We're going to reverse it now. Oh, and by the way, we're going to launch this war on drugs, which is really a war on you. 911. I've been talking about how this number 14 is so prevalent. And you know what's crazy? When you go back and see those old films of the Raiders um, winning Super Bowl 18, which is a 9, over the Redskins, you always see that picture of Lyle. And I tell you, I loved Lyle Alzado. You see him looking up and he's trying to fight the tears back. And it's a very memorable frame that they caught from the post game celebration. And you got the big 77 sitting up on his jersey. And that 77 adds up to 14. Now, of course, 14 breaks down to 5, but every variance of 5 has its own resonance. It's like 5 is the family, is like when you break numbers down to a single digit, that's like the last name. I'm a Robinson, but you got different variations of Robinson. You got a 2-3, you got a 3-2, you got a 1-4, you got a 4-1. They all come back to 5, which is Robinson, but they got variations. So when we look at a particular combination, we're looking at that particular resonance. Okay. So here, the 7 and 7 is 14. Osiris has come back together. Okay. But check this out though. Check this out. What I'm saying is that in 84, with the Raiders winning and with Blue Thunder coming out, Airwolf coming out, this is the distress call is being issued again. We ain't knowing nothing about none of this. My mother and father wouldn't have, it's just it's perplexing when you go back and look over this when you've lived it. Like, man, we had no clue. We just living life. We just like Uncle John coming over to watch the Super Bowl. Aunt Barbara coming, and we're gonna, oh yeah, we're gonna have some snacks and oh, this new show called Airwolf coming on. Oh man, that thing bad. Little do we know that this all this stuff possibly is working behind the scenes. It's all theory. I could be wrong, but I mean, it's awful strong coincidences here. These numbers showing up. All right. We almost up to cruising altitude. I just got to keep my thoughts together. Like, where you want to go with this, Jamal? Okay. Lyle Alzado is in the frame, 77. That's 14. Osiris is coming back together. Let's stay right there. Let's stay right there for a minute. Mm. Y'all with me? Y'all getting bored? Is this making sense? Does this sound like it's just far fetched? Let me see. This taking too long. Okay. Let's look at the numbers 14. Let's look at the number 14. Lyle Alzado pops up, 77. And I got to go here. Here in Dallas, the savior that they have brought in to replace the former savior. Oh, shit. You know what's crazy? I just thought about this. The former savior for Dallas was Dirk Nowitzki. And if my memory is correct, I think he wore 41. Yo, that's crazy. He retires. they bring in a guy named Luka Doncic, and he wears 77. Check it out. I told you they both reduce to five, but you take the individual combinations because they give you particular resonances of the five energy. Okay. Sometimes the energy's moving up and it's sometimes it's moving down. So check this out. So here you got Lal Alzado wearing 77, which equals 14. And this is also Luka Doncic's number, who now Luka Doncic has gone to the West to be with number 23, LeBron James. And Lal Alzado was in the West with number 32, Marcus Allen. But either way, let's look at we're gonna compare 14 and 41. I'm gonna show you something. Okay. Here's some here's a word that um has numeric value of, I guess you call it geometric value, but I'll just say numeric value. It is AK. Okay. Now that's a hey, five, kit, eight, aleph, 1, 14. Look what this word means. Join. So this is where A. Rashid always would teach that Kemet gave birth to the Hebrew script. This is where it's really coming out of. And arguably Kemet is here because we got the documents down here. We got forbidden, no, not forbidden archaeology, but I think the America, what is it? America BC talks about how they found um tablets and script and dated it, old engravings of Hebrew down in the Grand Canyon, which arguably they say that's why they don't let you go down all in to explore all because there's all types of stuff they don't want to be seen. Um, but the point is that if there's a connection between Hebrew, the script, the language, and Kemet, then that naturally would say there's a connection to the Osirian story. And Osiris is cut into 14 pieces in one of the renderings, but he comes back together. He's put back together. So this word means the actual coming together is to join, to stitch, or to piece together. I ain't tripping. This video right here need to be like 100,000 views right here. I'm telling you. I think this one, I think this is smoker right here, if I must say so myself. Um, the when you take the letter Yud, Yud is the hand, okay? But Yud also represents humility because it's the smallest letter, but arguably the most powerful because it has to be present in the formation of all of the scripts, the Hebrew script. So Yud is spirit, okay? But if you spell the actual letter out, to spell out the letter Yud, each letter is a word in Hebrew. So the Yud is spelled out with a Yud and a Dalet because you're saying D at the end, Yud. So the Dalet equals 4 and the Yud is 10, 14. So in itself, this denotes the hand, which is, we talk a hand, we talk, what can I grasp? What can I hold. And based on that, it gives me power. It's strength. There's also something about it pointing to a monument. And we know that the Osirian story has a phallic resonance to it too. Osiris is associated with the Jed pillar. Osiris has one missing piece, the phallus. So if we can restore the power, the strength, the monument, the phallus, then power is restored. And this is where Isis comes in. She restores the phallus, and then she agitates it. She flaps her wings, which represents her labia, and she causes ejaculation. So if so there's something about erection here, as in also the spine, the kundalini rising up, consciousness, awakening, awakening. So the 14 coming back together, awakening, rising back up. Now, so if we compare that with 41, which is the reverse, if we just go on pure common sense and just reasoning, if 14 is bringing together, right? Wouldn't naturally we think that the reverse of that may possibly mean going the opposite direction? So here's 41. Here's some words. This is, I guess it's M. We're not going to use the meme in its final. If we just take it in its regular, that's 41. And here is the womb, origin, mother. So she takes apart the coagulated essence of the light and she breaks it down. So she causes the ejaculation, she restores the phallus, which then gives off a concentrated energy or seed, because seed and semen and light and essence are all the same. And then in her womb, she breaks it down. So that one, that's not diabolical, right? But if we look at some of these other ones, this is a bet, this is a tet, and a lament. And I think that is beetle. And this one means to stop, to cease, stop work, uh, be void. So this one would seem the antithesis of some of the things we saw with the 14. 14 is putting things back together, and this one appears to be stopping, no progress, stagnation, a void. Here's another word. It is, I guess it's almost like saying hul or whole. And this one means to twist, to turn around. Listen to the words: to twist, to turn around. Okay. I appreciate your patience. And I understand if you're wondering right now, what is he getting at? I want to reward you for your patience with a simple answer. 1984 to 2025. Somebody do the math for me. How many years is that between those two? While I get me a sip. How many years is it between 1984 and 2025? Yeah, I'm drinking like I've been out in a damn field somewhere. 41 years. 41 years. So look at the arrangement. 84, Super Bowl 18, distress call is issued. And there's a coming together, but at the same time, there's an undoing. And here we are after 41 years. We are back in Super Bowl 59. Oh, let me say this too, that when this event, I ain't gonna say it out because I don't know how they might, um, this event that many of you probably remember, if you're old enough, you remember that event? You know what that adds up to? 14. So they were trying to bring something together at that time, adds up to 14. All right. That's just a sidebar. But this year's Super Bowl is on 2 9 2025. That's 11. That's a 9. There we go again. And I showed you at the beginning that you have Jalen, who is number one, and his name means calm. You have Saquon. I think this is his correct spelling. If not, you know, he's number 26, and his name means warrior. And then you have Arthur, AJ Brown. A is for Arthur, and Arthur means bear. And he's number 11. And once again, here's 911. Now, what I don't know is if these guys are the sacrifice. I don't know. I don't. I've given up on trying to predict, you know, and I don't. I'm not gonna do the work of pulling players' charts. It ain't. It ain't. It's not important enough to me. What I'm trying to see is the overarching theme here. Now we got the bear, which is the great bear. That's Ursa Major, I think. Then we got the warrior. That's more Mars. Calm. Mm, I don't know. Would that be more? Uh, maybe Neptune, Jupiter to a degree. Um, but part of me is thinking they're lining these boys up to for them to represent the sacrifice. But and especially with Arthur, Arthur is Uther, and Uther is User, Asar, Osiris. And so I don't know. I feel like very possibly unfortunately, these guys may be set up to be the food, but on the grander scale of things, what I see is the distress call is out again. And why? And I think the why is based on what I laid out a while back about the 9/11, the fiery ones, the first, the beginning, the primal, chief, first fruit, choice, best, magistrate, office, choicest, also the remnant, the posterity. I think the clock has determined, or the fates, the true fates have determined or given us more evidence of what time it truly is. Now, what might be attempted to be acted out on this grand stage tomorrow, I don't know. But I have a feeling it's going to be an eventful occasion, and it might be something that I hope not, but they might need something to really set a precedent. And we're hoping that it's not something um tragic. I have not looked at the chart for tomorrow, but when we ask yourselves or ask ourselves why is this all going down? And why is it that the history is so murky around the people on this landmass? Why do people get so bothered? Even people who claim to be of a liberal leaning, why do they get so bothered when you say, uh, my history is not slavery? Like I wasn't brought helplessly over on a ship. Why is it people would be more bothered or be more willing to ally with you if you will say that I was victimized in that manner, and then be bothered if you say, from what I've found in research thus far, that narrative doesn't seem to be true. And why would that be so bothersome? Is it easier to be allied with somebody that subconsciously you feel like you're still superior to? Therefore, you can treat them like a pet, but you can love on it and feed it and give it water. But that pet always knows its place. And I think what's being missed, even in the conversation of those who are so in an uproar against the current POTUS and all the things, is you're either going to be for the truth or you're going to be against it. And you can't tell half truths, and you can't tell people that they need to just accept things as they are and this is not important. I had someone tell me who claims to be a warrior for health and wellness that the consideration of the things I'm talking about now, in essence, oh, we don't need to worry about all that stuff. You know, now that person didn't know how I took that, and how I made a final judgment on him on that statement. Because what that says is you can't be all about the truth when it comes down to, what they tried to do with that thing 5 years ago, and they're trying to da 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 da. But when it comes to other truth, oh, that's not. You either gonna be about the truth all the way across the board or not. You can't cherry pick. You can't pick and choose. And what is hitting a lot of people on all sides of the fence, politically, racially, um, is coming to the realization that a lot of things might not have been what we thought they were. Even for so called black people to have to swallow the bitter pill that what you thought was revolutionary was even designed for you to think it was revolution. Like it was created. You know how bitter pill that has to that have a bitter of a pill that has to be to swallow to have to come to the realization that, oh man, oh shit, that was created. Like we gotta be critical thinkers. We even gotta go back and even question, why would universities allow African American studies? Like, if how can the institution that has been an integral part of the deception now provide the venue for you to find the truth about who you are? Like, think about it. Even some of our great scholars that we loved who were at these universities, how? Unless it was designed for even for them to only get so far. Why do people argue about they're not teaching critical race theory in school? Think about how handicapping it is to say why they aren't teaching it when the question should be, why aren't you teaching it at home? You think I'm depending on my children's school to teach them anything? You know what my children say? They say, Daddy, my son will say, they taught us about Christopher Columbus today. Daddy, so what's the real truth? They're conditioned to come back and say, what's the real truth? That's the way we need to let it. Because everybody's not able to, people get on their high horse. You need to be homeschooling your children. Well, look, man, people got to work. Okay. And people are trying to survive. It's a slow transition towards a more complete, a greater experience of freedom. So we need not be so heavy handed with people, but you need to be doing this. And but if so, you gotta send your child to these places for now. Then guess what? They come home and learn about such and such was this president, but daddy, but it was there were more presidents before Washington, right, daddy? Yeah, and so your job is to educate them. It's not their job to teach them some critical race theory, which is going to be a made up thing to make you feel good about some truth when your job is to teach the truth. So the conversation around the DEI is a moot conversation because what it does is It is meant to keep you in a perpetual state of begging the person who calls or the system that caused injury to then rehabilitate you. Why would they when they intentionally injured you? So the distress call is to me to say cyclically the clock and the clock is like butter and the fates are like the stick that churns the butter, and it just determines it as they are moving it that what's coming around in this butter is that now is a time where cyclically there's supposed to be truth being unveiled. So what do you naturally do? You create a venue to have people arguing over an artificial truth. That's part of the distress call. Now we don't know what all is going to be connected to this distress call because it is obviously picking up. It's crazy. The flame on this candle right now is wow. It is kicking. Like there's definitely some feathers getting ruffled. Wow. But truth is the truth, you know. So I don't know who's gonna win tomorrow. That ain't my concern. But that it's not by happenstance that these three young men um who line up as with these numbers, or they may pull it off, who knows. But the bigger issue is that not to be in any state of fear mongering, but what we're in now is kind of like this is like 2 minute drive, fourth quarter. These times are in right now. And since we are dealing with one of the teams is Philadelphia, I felt it would be fitting to um, read something. Hold on. I'm gonna I'm gonna go to Revelations. I think it's chapter 1. And y'all scholars out there, probably, I'm sure you already know where I'm about to go with this. No, I think it's 3. Yeah. First thing I want to read, uh, where is it at? That's a scripture I love in Revelations. It's chapter 1, verse 3. Blessed is he who reads. That in itself, that's all I got to say. Blessed is he who reads. But what I really want to go to is chapter 3, verse 7. Message to Philadelphia. And to the angel of the church of Philadelphia write, he who is holy, who is true, who has the key of David, who opens and no one shall shut, and who shuts and no one opens, say this: I know your deeds. Behold, I have put before you an open door, which no one can shut, because you have a little power, and have kept my word, and have not denied my name. Behold, I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan, who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. I will make them come and bow down at your feet, and make them know that I have loved you. Because you have kept the word of my perseverance, I also will keep you from the hour of testing, that hour which is about to come upon the whole world, to test those who dwell on the earth. I am coming quickly. Hold fast what you have, so that no one will take your crown. He who overcomes, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God, and he will not go out from it any more. And I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, Siphitus Day, which comes down out of heaven from my God, and my new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The quarterback is the sender, the running back is the word, and the receiver is the hearing of the word. If I were in Philly, I would read this to that team. Um, we are often used as just pieces to fulfill a drama. And as long as we don't ponder and think deeply, then we allow ourselves to just be, as they say, pawns, just moved around. As I always say, I don't have all the answers, but I think it's a good habit for us to ask questions and to ponder how the game is organized, how the game is laid out, and what might be the moves that are intended for me to make, and how might I move counterintuitively to what how I've been thought to move or perceived to move or conditioned to move. Just some things to think about. Uh so yeah. Yeah, y'all going in the y'all been going in. All right. Well, I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to cover, and I'm sure I'll get done like, oh, I forgot to talk about this. But 911 means there is an emerging situation. something is emerging. Sometimes people posture like they are so powerful and in control, but what really dictates power is the level of consciousness that people function at. Everybody needs to go and see the movie Ants. Is it Ants? Yeah. And see the movie Ant Bully too. But Ants shows how the grasshoppers are few in number, and there's all these ants, and they come and terrorize these ants because the ants were not structured. And when they finally realized that it was more of them than the grasshoppers are in trouble, you know. And it's only a small few people who really dictate how the world operates. But what keeps them protected and shielded is the systems that are in place that one dictates how people think, whether that be media, education, um, just societal um, relating, all these environmental factors, all these different things that dictate the level of consciousness that people operate at or the frequency that they're at. And then that determines how your life is going to go. You know, when people are taught to function like animals, dog eat dog, and it's, you know, me versus you, and then you don't have to come down and off your iron mountain and do anything. The people are gonna take each other out because they don't think at 64,000 feet. Everything is right in front of them. You know, I'm dealing with what's right here, and you don't have the ability to pan out and try to look at the greater view. And what happens is that's how you can have systems in place, and you wonder, well, how do people go for this? Because they ain't thinking. They're functioning on pure animal nature. And in doing so, they are lesser than the animals. Animals got rules of engagement. They got things they're gonna do and not do, and you know, so it's something worse than the animal. And that's how things continue. Their power is in the ability to create a systems, and then to create propaganda to support those systems. And but we keep it running through our failure to objectify ourselves, to step out of what everybody's doing long enough to analyze. So as this distress call is being issued, you know, we don't know what else is coming, but we know this is going to be an action-packed year, and we've been forewarned. Um, but as the writing says, fear not that in the time of testing, basically, you will be covered and protected. And it goes back to that Old Testament story of the Passover. Who had the mark? Those who had the true mark and who have not created a kaleidoscope of lies. Those who have the true mark, and that mark, that's what the Ta is. That last script in the alphabet is the Ta, and the Ta is the mark. And we saw that, excuse me, 9/11 is talking about something that was the first, and it's also something that's the last because it's the remnant. And that being the last, so those who were the last as remaining from something that was previous but have remained, they bear the mark or the Ta. And so you will be passed over, as in you'll be protected. I issue energy of protection over those who have been suffering, who have suffering in their blood, who have lies and deceit that have affected family and relationships, have produced trauma upon trauma upon trauma, wound upon wound, and who feel like you're not heard, you're not seen, who feel like you're told you need to stop whining. And let me say this too. If you are not connected to this story, you don't have the right to tell someone, oh, oh no, that stuff's not important. And we just need to come together. You know how dismissive that is to tell some like you wouldn't tell somebody who had been a victim of sexual assault that, well, we just need to let that go. We just need to come. No, you would say, we're not going to deny what has happened to you. Right? So this this energy of we just need to come together, you know, harmony is a natural thing for rhythmic people. There's a natural desire for harmony. That's what rhythm is. But denial and dismissiveness, we don't care about all this history about such and such. No, but then at the same time, oh, the natives. But what if you're talking to the native right here? Does your heart still bleed? If we can show you a stack of documents and primary sources that no, this you're looking at the native. Will your heart still bleed for the natives? If you now have to put me in that box. So that's just a sidebar where we got to be honest. And at the same time, you coming into your awareness that you are of the land ain't gonna get it either. That ain't gonna get it. Yeah, this is our and we waiting to get our. We're gonna be restored because what you're doing is you fall back into the same trap. The vessel must be prepared to receive. Every time you use your glasses in your kitchen, you wash them out. So you prepare them to receive new life giving fluid, water. So you prepare your vessel in anticipation of the next time that you're going to be able to hydrate yourself. So stomping the pavement, talking about we're the aboriginals and we're the people. If it gets to the point of a pride fest, you've already lost because this is things going on at a cosmic level. And you have to prepare the vessel to receive what is coming. And some of these vessels are dirty and cracked and they're damaged and they do more harm than they do good. So make sure your vessel is not polluting the water supply. It's not polluting the food because now you got a dirty vessel and somebody else may come and partake and now they get this dirty food or this dirty water because it gets filtered through you. So you need to make sure that you sweep around your own front door, get your house in order. The distress call is saying that we are at a crescendo moment. As a collective, everybody's going to have their own way that they got to respond to this crescendo. And the measure of the truth and the sincerity that you move in will be the equal measure of your protection. The degree of truth and sincerity that you move in will equal the measure of your protection. Let me say it again so I can remember it. The degree of truth and sincerity that you move in will equal the measure of your protection. And with that said, we're going to wrap it up. 720astrology.com. Go over there and get my bundle. Host of different readings, coaching, things available to enhance your personal journey. We got things set up that if your money's a little tight, we got Klarna over there, a firm where you can set it up through them to where you can get services and make payments so that you're not burdened or taxed at the moment. But other than that, stay down till you get up. You get up, stay down. Know the stars to know yourself. Peace.